we're just going to kind of dive in, and I'll just give you a brief history on William here. It's uh, family business, moving big, heavy agriculture equipment all over the world. Wanted to start getting some technology introduced to it. So even as a liberal arts degree holder, he found a love and a passion for technology, and just started moving that company forward all the way to where we are today with solving a problem that I think most of us don't really think about much, which is kind of in that backup world. So, William, why don't you tell us, how did you get into this backup world of all of the things you could be putting your great brain to? Why backups?
Well, my best friend was an architect,
Mm.
and I drove down to pick him up for lunch, and he had gotten a new computer to put his CAD drawings on. Now, this was in 1995.
Hmm.
And I said, "How you backing that up, Nick?" He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I'm talking about backing it up." He said, "Doesn't the computer back itself up?" "No, you have to make it happen." He said, "What happens if I don't?" I said, "Well, you lose all your drawings. You have to do them again."
Mm.
He said, "That'll be a disaster." So I had a portable tape drive, and I brought it over and we plugged it in, went to lunch, came back, everything was copied over. And I thought, this could be a business.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
That's pretty cool. Now that, I didn't, I came to technology a little bit late myself. I think my first computer was probably around 95. I had no idea what it could do. I was probably just doing some word processing and internet, whatever Google meant to me then. But uh, I didn't understand what was happening on a computer for probably another 5 years beyond that. So I even imagine really smart architect, I can't even imagine what backups looked like at that point. The first one I remember was probably 2000. It was, big device you could install into the machine. But what would
Mhm.
a tape backup have looked like in 1995?
Well, you'd have two types. You'd have one for the IBM System 3X,
Yeah.
and it would be like a big bulky thing with
Yeah.
tapes that cost $50 a piece, and you got to
Yeah.
have six of them to rotate and take one off site every night. And
That's right. Yeah.
that was life then. And people would leave them in their cars, and the heat would get on and ruin all the data and ruin the tape, and they'd keep backing up on the ruined tape and wouldn't know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like at my church, where the lady said, "Well, we run that tape backup every night. It only takes 2 seconds."
Oh.
So, so we've had some fun solving people's problems.
Oh, sure. So then you get you kind of tackle that with your buddy, and then you just kind of start figuring out. You probably learn more and more about backups. Now, have you been steady in the backup game since 95?
Yes,
So
that's
you've watched the
all
whole
we do.
evolution.
That's all we do.
That's incredible. Okay, so now at this point you've developed a backup system. Is that the right word to say? Is there a better phrase for that? A backup system
Yeah, I
process?
would say that I would call it a system. Absolutely.
Okay. And that is something that is that just for kind of local servers, local laptops, or is that more than just, what's physically on premise? How do you draw that line of what you'll back up?
Well, we'll back up anything that we can see.
Hmm.
If you have data in the cloud and you can see it as a mapped drive, or you can, uh, or you're running on a cloud virtual machine, and your login can see the data, we could do it cloud to cloud.
Mm.
We could do it earth to cloud, cloud to earth. If you've got that set up. Now, when you load our software, it, it will do just one thing. It'll set up to back up on local media for you and send a copy to the cloud.
Hmm.
And both copies, both sets, are AES 256-bit end-to-end encrypted. So it doesn't matter if it gets on media, if it doesn't matter where it goes, unless you've got the encryption key, it's completely safe until
Understood.
until quantum computers become a reality and nothing is safe.
That's right. So in a backup scenario like you've developed, yeah, I kind of and listen, I am not so bright when it comes to technology. Even though I'm exposed to it all day, every day. The software that you have to develop, is that the brains of any backup solution out there? Is it the software? Is it, how it's configured up in the cloud or on some other device? What's the real brains of the operation?
It is the software. And
Mhm.
what we have found over the years is that what makes it good is when it's got lots of different ways to achieve the same function.
Mm,
So with our software, and this is true of others as well, you can say, well, I just want to back up this folder every 10 minutes.
mhm,
And I want to back up everything else on the machine once a week. And I want to back up these files, and but I only need to keep 10 copies of them. So
mhm.
rotate them out.
I see.
So you have all these they're just all the same thing, but the little qualitative differences make them make it useful for many kinds of businesses.
Mm,
Businesses like we do a lot of professionals, and a lot of accountants, a lot of lawyers, a lot of doctors. Not as many doctors as dentists, really.
mm,
And we do a lot of very small businesses, maybe $10, $20 a month, but they prefer us because some of them let the accounting software company, I'm sure you've heard their name, I won't call it out, but if they rely on that backup, they have, in several instances in the past year, have found that they don't have their backups.
mm. So so the software that you have created, does a software like that kind of, um you have to rip and replace and start over every decade or so, doing it as long as you have, or do you get to just build and build and build, or is it like, now this is, we got to start over and make the next version to match 2020 or whatever?
No, we don't go that radical. We just make little changes as we go along.
Hmm.
Um, New features come with Windows every now and then that require us to make some significant changes, but it's all very underlying. I mean, nobody would notice it.
So the end user does not interact much with your software.
No,
All
no,
right.
not at all. He or she um, will get an email every day that it backs up. So
Mhm.
they're expecting an email. If something goes wrong, they don't get an email, and they will contact us. And then we're looking at it from our end. If we don't see them backing up regularly, we contact them.
Mhm. So help me out with something, because in my consulting journey, I've gone through all sorts of phases where I've, worked really heavily with dispatchers and service managers, real frontline people, and maybe in this season I'm working mostly with owners and whatnot. But I
Uh,
remember this era. I'm reminded of it maybe 10 years ago, and this is my question: is they would have, a technician where it's like, oh, we have a recurring service ticket that every morning at 7 a.m. uh this technician checks the backups from yesterday, and they're going to spend a couple hours just confirming the backups happened. And even
mm,
back then I thought, God, that seems weird, like, but I guess you get bitten once, something didn't work, somebody didn't catch it, and you're going to correct that to never be in that position again. But what is this kind of checking the backups type of thing?
right. Well, you think you're backing up your AutoCAD data,
Mhm.
but AutoCAD change where their default data store is. And so what you're actually getting now, and this is not a true story. This is just
Right.
a hypothetical example. Now you're not getting anything but the template to your architectural
Mm.
drawings, and the drawings themselves are somewhere else. So you check to make sure the files you think you're supposed to be getting you're getting. But what we do is we work mainly through managed service providers,
Mm-hmm.
and we send the managed service provider a report for each of his clients. What drives were backed up, how much was backed up, when the backup started, when it finished. And they get that every morning, and it's color coded, so it's really easy to look at the red ones.
Mm,
Problem, problem, problem. Joe, call ABC Corporation. You call 123 Corporation and tell them we gotta reconfigure their backup or whatever the deal is. But mainly we see green, 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 green. And if we see that green and we know that once a
mm-hmm.
year, that's when you sit down for 2 or 3 hours and say, am I getting everything that I really need to have?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And then there's that component of, okay, we've been backing up. What's good practice in 2025 on just kind of test restoring? Because that always seems like the moment of truth is, well, we can back up all we want, but when we needed to restore, how'd that go?
That is key. And it's very difficult for some products, for some industry software solutions. Um, but ideally, what you would do is you take your backup, you go to an empty machine, and say, okay, let's restore it just as we would if this were a real calamity. And it may be that you want to restore it from a bare metal restore from a disk image, or you might want to just load the operating system on,
Mm,
add the backed up data, and then see if it runs.
I gotcha. Okay. And is that good practice? Well, it seems obvious that it would be good practice. How often do people do this kind of thing, or should they do this thing?
They should. They rarely do it, but they should. They should do it every year.
Mm-hmm.
They, depending on the industry, they may need to do it every month.
Mm-hmm.
But what is usually sufficient is knowing about how many bytes you're expecting to back up. And if you see a major change,
You got a problem.
well, you need to find out why.
That's right.
A lot of times it's because well, what people will do is they'll get into the operating system disk and they'll move the whole application to another place that generates a whole new backup.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. So, I'm treating you like my personal backup expert here. I hope you don't mind.
So that's
So,
we're happy to do that for
so those cybersecurity ransomware attacks that happen. Right? Somebody puts something on the network on a device, starts sniffing around, finding whatever they want.
you. Mhm.
And eventually the client gets that demand for some amount of Bitcoin or whatever it is. It's not knowing what I don't know. It seems like an easy answer could be, "Oh, forget it. Just shut her down, delete it, restore all the backups. Let's go." The world doesn't seem to be that simple. But is that part of this solution set of a ransomware attack?
Absolutely. In fact, we have a distributor in the southeast who developed a high um, capacity storage system, and we developed a means of hiding an external disk from the operating system in such a way that even the ransomware can't find it.
Mm,
It takes it
mhm.
out of the hardware
I
configuration.
see.
It
Okay.
it takes the drivers away. So unless you physically know that you have a drive connected, there ain't no drive connected.
I
I
gotcha.
gotcha. And so we use this device to back up, and at most we're 2 days away.
Mm.
if ransomware hits, and we have rescued um, dozens and dozens of companies from ransomware threats, and we've had customers who, for one reason or another, dropped off of our system, got ransomware, and they were cooked,
Mm,
and it was very
dang.
unfortunate. But but there was a good thing. Our vice president in charge of operations is very, I don't know how to put this. He's very afraid.
Mm,
He's very suspicious, and he will not let anything be deleted until at least 30 days have passed.
ah.
And that has made many of our customers very happy because they say, no, no, we don't need it anymore. And they get hit. I say, do you still have our backups? I say, well, as a matter of fact, we do.
There you go. There you go. Sounds like the right guy for the job.
He is the right guy for that. He is devoted to our customers. Absolutely devoted. It's the best. I would challenge anybody to find a better tech support guy.
Oh,
And
that's
no, he won't
outstanding.
come. He won't come work for you because I'm paying him too much already.
Well, so you've got, you've built this solution that you're very confident in, you're very proud of, you have great track record of, saving people's bacon. Um, I have a simple mind sometimes, and I think, okay, we've got William over here. He's got an awesome solution, but then we've got all the big names that were funded with big dumb public money and private money, and how do you compete with that? How do you find your home in the marketplace when you've got so many huge competitors?
Well, when they realize that we give personal service, when they realize that they can pick up the telephone at 2 o'clock in the morning
Hmm.
and get a human being on the line,
Right.
when they see that if something does go wrong, we are right there. We do not delay assisting our customers with restorations. That's absolutely number one thing. Well, here's how to tell whether a backup is a good system. Is it remote? Because if it stays on site, it's not worth having. Is it encrypted? Is it encrypted end to end?
Mm.
Is it easily restored? That's about it. I
Sure.
mean,
So that's kind of the table stakes are those four conditions. So if you willing to say mine does what those other do, then it's going to come down to price and service. Well, the functionality is going to be believable. It is what it is. Now it's a price and function or a price and service thing. Uh, are you finding that you can compete on price?
well, we seem to compete well with data. We seem to compete well with the other ones out there.
Sure. Sure. And because you're also not burdened with the massive overhead that those huge companies have as well. So that allows you to have some flexibility there. And then now it just comes down to service.
Right.
And it sounds like you would put your service up against any of the large players out there.
I will. I
Yeah.
will. They in fact, when people say, "Well, how do I know your service is better than so and so's?" I say, "Well, I tell you what, let's call them up."
Mm-hmm.
So, but wait a minute, let's call them up at 7 o'clock tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and then call us. Call our company at 2 in the morning.
There you go.
What happens at 2 in the morning? We have an answering service.
Mm-hmm.
Answering service sends a text to the tech on duty.
Mm-hmm.
If the tech on duty doesn't respond to the answering service in 5 minutes, they call me.
Mm-hmm.
If they
Mm-hmm.
call me, I'll talk to the tech on duty tomorrow, but meantime, I'll help the customer.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I mean, it really is. It seems like you're the game here is, the local, hardware store versus Walmart
Right.
is really what it seems like it is.
And Walmart's a good place.
Sure, it is. Absolutely.
But if your data is really critical and you have got to have it back immediately,
Right.
you may need to go to something fancier.
Yeah. Okay. So then, how have you taken? Because you've been on a very long journey here, and you get to a point. What's happening in the business today that have you reached capacity? Are you serving the number of clients that you hope to serve? Are you there right now?
Oh no, no, no. We can serve a lot more clients. One of the beautiful things about the cloud situation is that it's very you can grow incrementally without any problem.
Hmm. Got it. So then you what kind of mode is the business in today? Is it in growth mode, maintain mode? Where are we right now?
We are in restart growth mode.
Okay.
We
Okay.
grew, we didn't go dormant, but we didn't try to grow anymore while we developed the new version, which is
Mhm.
supposed to be on today, but it'll be this week.
Mhm.
And once that's done, then we're back into growth motion. We've
Unders
got a number of our distributors have been waiting for the new
Mhm.
version, and they'll be very happy to get it. And they will put on some new clients, and
Now,
we've been adding new distributors in the past 3 months. Several new distributors. So
and when you say distributor, what's the profile of a distributor?
managed service provider.
Okay, so we have very much a channel program where they buy your solution, they sell it to their end user clients.
Right. We have some who simply refer us, and we pay them a commission.
Mhm.
And we have others who market it as their backup solution. We give
Mhm.
them a discount instead of a commission.
I see. I see. Now, that's an area of the kind of MSP landscape I'm not very familiar with, but you eventually essentially had to develop what your distribution or channel program was going to look like. How do you go about figuring out the right price, figuring out how to get a hold of these MSPs? How did you go through that cycle?
Well, we we looked at the other solutions. We came up with a price that we thought was fair. We had several sources of information about companies, as you can imagine, chambers of commerce, um, yellow pages back when we had yellow pages, and we get on the phone,
Yeah.
go to meetings where there might be some IT people there.
Mm-hmm. All right. And with that, like, do you what kind of when you're talking to an MSP and saying, "Hey, we've got a solution," are they all ears, excited to hear from you, or are they like, "Oh, we already have somebody, we're out of here"?
Yeah,
What are you kind of seeing on that spectrum?
yeah, a lot of the latter, but that's just life. I mean, you're not going to buy a new car every week. But
Hmm.
you will buy one every 10 years. So our objective is to be their second favorite supplier.
There you
And
go.
one day something will happen to the favorite supplier and they call us.
That's right. That's
But
right.
that's
And what
part of the approach.
what's another part of the equation?
Another part of the equation is, are they interested in keeping their customers working, or are they just trying to write them a big invoice every month?
Mm, mm.
I've got nothing. I've got no problem trying to make money. I mean, that's we're in this. But some companies, some of our distributors, not many, but there are a couple of them. I'm thinking of writing them a letter and say, look, if you're not going to pay more attention to your customers, maybe you ought to find a better backup solution.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you get a front row seat to that, don't you? Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so you what are some of the so you have so many different choices in your marketing and your sales. You can pick up the phone, you can go to industry events, you can sponsor things. Is there one angle that seems to front run the rest in your marketing and sales strategy?
Well, once upon a time, XM radio was a really good advertising platform.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I think I called them in the year 2000
Mhm.
because they weren't doing any advertisements. On the music channels, there were no advertisements, but on the news channels, they were doing a lot of public service announcements. And so
Mhm.
I called XM and I said, why don't y'all let us buy a spot or two?
Mm.
And they gave us a spot for, I think it was $30. And we did, 100 a week, something like that. And after about 3 weeks, we started getting customers.
Really?
That worked very well, but now the money is all it doesn't work anymore.
That doesn't work anymore.
No, the ads are too expensive. I've tried to get them to come down a little bit so we can do it, but
I listen to a lot of different podcasts every week. Just I'm constantly consuming, podcasts, YouTube videos, and those ad reads. I don't know. Do you listen to podcasts and YouTube
not much,
videos much?
not much.
So that almost seems like the new XM. It's, if I listen to a podcast that has, 500,000 subscribers and they're putting content out every once a week and they are, maybe get, 350,000 views on it at that size and sometimes smaller as well, but at that size, you can be sure that podcast host is going to do 2 to 3 ad reads.
Ah,
And so whether it's, and it's, mine are usually just kind of entertainment value. So
mhm,
it's, people talking about a Ridge wallet or Tommy John underwear or, whatever these things are. But some, I have no idea what those guys get paid to read those ads, but I sure would think it's probably in the realm of your old XM pricing of,
could be.
getting those hitting those podcasts that your potential clients would be listening to and engaged with. There seems like there could be some there.
Yeah, it would certainly be worth trying, doing a sample run at it. If the demo if they do the people who actually broadcast the podcast give you the demographics of your, of the listening audience?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, we obviously have our YouTube channel and we're very, very small, but when
Mhm,
we can see like so much demographic information because it's YouTube owned by Google, so they know exactly who's listening. So we get like age brackets, male, female, part of the country, what time they
mhm,
listen to it, so they can you get a pretty good read. And I'm sure there's experts out there that can kind of look and see, oh, you have a business to business solution. It's very niche around this area of business. Let's
mhm.
go find the hosts with your type of audience.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it's more expensive in the initial phase of marketing that way, but as you get into it, it gets very cheap.
I would think so because, we tried in like 2018, I kind of started paying attention that I was consuming a lot of YouTube content I didn't have like a YouTube premium account, so I'd
Mhm.
be shown an actual commercial, every, 17 minutes or something like that. So you can skip it after the first 3 seconds, but
Mhm.
uh that's how a YouTube content creator used to get paid was your account got monetized. Now the advertiser had some selections on what type of channels would be the most interesting to them, where
Uh,
they think they had the best luck. But then, of course, YouTube would kind of use their brain to say, "Oh, we'll place it here, we'll place it there." I don't know how effective that was, but eventually, all these content creators got wise that, hey, we can just do an ad read in the middle of our own video. We don't need to get monetized by YouTube. We
we'll
can find
monetize
our own
ourselves.
ad reads. So it's
Yeah.
been an interesting arc there that's really shook up, how people, advertise and market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I listen to NPR pretty regularly, and they don't do commercials, they do underwritings and whatnot, but
Mhm.
boy, there's a lot of different solutions. So your XM radio ad spots did well for you back in the day.
Yeah.
What's going to be, as you kind of finish up this latest version of your software and you're going to kind of relaunch growth mode? What are some of the first steps you guys will be getting into? What are you envisioning?
Well, I'm not talking about that just yet.
Oh, okay, got it. Understood. But you're poised. You're ready.
We're poised. We have been, the past 3 years, we've been working on several products. Um, we've discarded 2 of them, but we've kept 2 of them. So
Okay.
they're all, related to backup.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds you're innovating as you continue this journey. I love that. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, that, chat, AI has been, very helpful as we modify our software. It's pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. It's again, not being technical, I just kind of hear people's pieces of stories and, everything from the helping it check code that they've written, write code that they didn't want to have to write themselves, all the way down to the, people just, helping to write a better email.
Yeah.
Pretty
And,
amazing.
I was struggling with a particular coding issue, and I asked chat, and it said, "Try this."
Yeah.
Worked the first time. Scared me.
It is, I am a longtime user of Excel, and whenever I look at someone else's spreadsheet, I'll say, "Dang, how do they do that?" They could, what would the formula be to do what they did? And I never, kind of had the attention span to figure it out. But this last week, I was making a spreadsheet, and it's just like, oh, I'll ask ChatGPT. Here, I need this output, and it'd say, "Oh, try this." And it's like, "Oh." And then if it didn't work, I'd just take a screenshot showing the formula in the spreadsheet and say, "Why isn't it working?" Like, "Oh, I see the problem. Do this now." It just, my, 25 years of using Excel, I've accelerated, massively in 1 week. It's pretty cool. I can only imagine the power in other
Oh,
types of programming.
it's incredible. It really is.
Yeah. I always say ChatGPT makes me wish I was either 10 years older or 10 years younger.
Yeah.
10 years older and I just never would have known and I just get to forget it, or 10 years younger so I could play with it for even longer in my career. Oh, well, very good, Bill. Well, I'll tell you, I'm excited for what you guys are doing. I love the path you guys have been on. What is something that, an MSP, because that's usually who listens to the podcast here. What's something that you would share with an MSP around backups or around anything technology, having been in it as long as you have and where you see the world's going?
I would say the electronics are great, but you need to be able to exist without them.
Hmm.
So spend your money wisely, get a reasonable solution, back it up, and give yourself time to do other things. That's the approach I've taken.
There you go. There you go. Well, I appreciate that. Well, listen, William, where can people find you out there on the internet?
www.enveloc, like a locked envelope,
Mm,
enveloc.com,
outstanding.
and we will personally return your call.
Well, very good. And I know that you play in some bands. Where are we playing next? What's the next gig?
Next gig is going to um, Meridian, Mississippi, 50 Years of Ferris Film Festival,
Ah,
where he's going to show his first 4 films. And one of them was taken when I was an undergraduate in school and had the opportunity to back up BB King.
oh, nice.
So,
Nice.
so
Well,
that'll be fun. And then we're playing at what the college band is getting together in Los Angeles in November. And we're just going to get together. We're all in our 70s.
yeah.
We've remained friends all these years. And so we're just going to celebrate that friendship.
Outstanding. November what, by the way? Do you know the date off the top of your head?
6 and 7. And if anybody wants to show up at the jam,
Yeah.
get in touch with me on the Envelope website and I'll tell you where it is.
Well, outstanding. Well, William, always a pleasure to chat with you. Thanks for joining the pod, and we'll
Thank
catch you all
you.
next time.
Thank you very much, Josh. Good talking with
Bye-bye.
you.
Likewise.
So long.